We have some breaking news in the Alec Murdaugh case. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, or SLED, says they will exhume the remains of Murdaugh's former housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. Satterfield died after a fall at the Murdaugh home back in 2018. SLED opened an investigation into her death while looking into other cases connected to Murdaugh, including the alleged theft of Satterfield's wrongful death settlement. Now, investigators will exhume Satterfield's remains to further look into the circumstances surrounding her death. Murdaugh is charged with 82 criminal charges after allegations he stole more than $8 million from clients, partners, and other attorneys. He remains in jail on a $7 million bond. Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter takes a look back at all the bizarre twists involving the Murdaugh family.
I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
That's the 911 call Alec Murdaugh made on June 7th, 2021, after finding the bodies of his wife and son shot to death at their South Carolina hunting lodge.
Okay, what is her name?
Maggie and Paul.
Maggie is her name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And please hurry.
Alec Murdaugh told police he discovered the double homicide after returning home from checking on his terminally ill father.
Both died of multiple gunshot wounds. Maggie Murdaugh was shot by a semi-automatic rifle, police believe, and Paul Murdaugh was the victim of at least 2 shotgun blasts, one to the chest at least, and one to the head and upper arm.
For nearly a century, the Murdaugh name has embodied a legacy of power and justice in South Carolina's Low Country. Here in the small town of Hampton, it's virtually impossible to find someone who does not know of the prominent legal family. But recently, the name has become synonymous with tragedy. At the time of his death, 22-year-old Paul Murdaugh was awaiting trial, charged with 3 felony counts of boating under the influence for a 2019 crash that killed 19-year-old Mallory Beach. According to depositions taken in that case, Paul Murdaugh illegally purchased alcohol at Parker's convenience store using his older brother's ID. Surveillance video shows him leaving the gas station, towing his father's 17-foot boat. As he exits the store, you can see him raise his arms in a triumphant gesture to his friends. After attending an oyster roast, the 6 friends headed by boat to a bar in downtown Beaufort, South Carolina. And later, Murdaugh stumbles on the dock as he and his friends return to the boat around 1 a.m. Just over an hour later, the boat slammed into a bridge piling, and Connor Cook called 911.
What bridge is Paul, what bridge is this? Paul, what bridge?
911, where's your emergency? Hello? Police, fire, EMS. Hello?
We're in a boat crash on Arthur Street. There's 6 of us and 1 is missing.
The body of Mallory Beach was found nearly a week later in a marsh about 5 miles from the crash scene. The charges against Paul Murdaugh were dropped after his death, but the investigation is ongoing.
We reported, and it has since been confirmed by multiple attorneys who have clients related to the case, that there is an active investigation into possible tampering, possible obstruction of justice related to that boat crash. And specifically, Alec Murdaugh is one of the folks who was mentioned in connection with that inquiry.
All right, still with us, trial attorney Shannon Prince and appellate and trial attorney Matthew Barhoma. And Shannon, I'll start with you. You know, this case, it's garnered all kinds of attention. I was down in that area recently, and folks they're talking about this case. When folks would find out I worked at Court TV, they wanted to talk about what was going on. Now we have this development, and I'll tell you what, from the beginning, I thought this one was one that they needed to look into. And again, you can chalk it up to the fact that they're a powerful family, that it wasn't further looked into, but they're getting to it now.
They certainly are. And while I can't speak on this case specifically, what I can say is that we've seen how power and connections can shield people from the consequences of their action. For example, we saw in the recent death of Ahmaud Arbery how because of his killer's connections to local government attorneys, they were shielded from prosecution. And I think that what this case shows us is whether the parties are ultimately innocent or guilty, that it's important for all Americans to feel that nobody has a head start when it comes to justice, that everybody will be held equally accountable and given equal due process.
And Matthew Bahoma, you know, as they look into the death of that maid or the housekeeper, you know, the one thing that I think about this case is that Alec Murdaugh, the situation he was in, he's capable of anything. And it makes perfect sense to me that he would know someone who had this life insurance policy, and he would know that if he got rid of that person, perhaps there wouldn't be as much of a problem, and he could steal her money as well because he was going to be the one dealing with it. This whole thing makes perfect sense to me.
Absolutely, there is motive. There's every reason, and not only that, this ability to exhume the body and re-examine and go through an autopsy. Now, I'd be worried if I was Murdaugh, right? Because what's going to come out if there's some untruth to the situation? Experts are about to get down to the bottom of it. So really, this is actually a small victory in the fact that at least there's going to be disclosure. And if there is any moral or issues with ethics when it comes to this, if anything, this is going to give us more information, more insight about his wrongdoing. So there could be a whole lot more from here, and it also could just be nothing.
Yeah, it could. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, there was a 911 call that we had played numerous times that also sounded a bit shaky. People didn't seem, I think it was the wife and his son, they just didn't seem nervous enough about what was going on, but that's a story for another day. But there's a challenge here, Shannon, and that's something we're seeing similar to the Ryan Duke case. It's basically a cold case. It's a case that was pretty much settled. They're exhuming a body. They're going to look at that body to try to find evidence of a murder. That's got to present serious problems. Shannon? Uh-oh, I think Shannon froze. Matthew, did you hear my question?
I can take it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, take it for me.
I'll tell you, it definitely presents serious issues because all we know is that she basically fell. We only know statements that came from the Murdaugh family, and there was no autopsy, and there is follow-up questions. So certainly exhuming her body now, getting down to the bottom of it. And not only that, if this was a homicide, we'll easily be able to tell. Even though it's been a few years, we'll be able to tell, okay? Autopsy reports are quite detailed when it comes to cause of death. And if it doesn't line up, if it smells funny, this is going to be just an additional item that Alex Murdaugh may have to answer for.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this, you mentioned the fact that there was no autopsy originally. To me, that's what suggests power might have been at play here, or connections might have been at play. Why wouldn't there be, under those circumstances, why wouldn't there be an autopsy? That's because I would imagine someone maybe pulls some strings.
Absolutely. Enough questions to allow to exhume a body. You know, that's a measure of last resort, Michael. We really don't try to disturb that kind of life cycle. And so for us to go in, exhume a body, we're clearly willing to go through all the heartache to getting down to the bottom of possibly real wrongdoing. And it's also being represented by her family. I believe her son was really the one who retained the attorneys that got this motion done. And that's a triumph. You know, that's actually something to be very, proud of, in the sense that if you need any disclosure, we're going to know now, what truly happened to her.
Yeah, and it takes a lot to disturb the dead. You know, like you said, there's a presumption not to do that, but there is precedent for this, right? We saw this in the Daybell case. They exhumed the body of Chad's wife, and now they're both charged with conspiracy in her murder as well. We'll see what happens here.